And take two.
Take two for anyone.
Bright, isn't it?
That is very bright. But sorry about that minor issue. I kind of pressed go with the phone still in. No one cares.
No one really cares at all. Good afternoon, everybody. We'll see if anyone comes on to see us. We will put a little bit of a disclaimer at the beginning of this. We're realists. We do have a 3-month-old baby sleeping in the room next door who's been asleep for a little while now, hasn't he? So it will be absolute typical that he'll wake up in it. So he might even come in for a little bit of a chat with us if he does wake up.
Yes, he will be.
Hello, whoever's come on. Hello. Speak now. Who are you? Say hello.
Well, I think it's me.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Because I'm watching on the computer.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Well, that's all right. So we've got a few questions today. We've got some fantastic questions from a few of you members of the Outside Bride. We look forward to going through them. So, yes, it's very exciting. I've been told my shirt may be slightly loud, but to be honest, it's raining and grey outside, so who wouldn't want to be wearing a pineapple shirt?
And let's face it, Alan wore a yellow suit to our wedding, so it's kind of standard in this household, isn't it?
Yes. Well, I don't like that. You go into the shops and it's greys and blues and browns, and it's like, well, where's the yellows, the reds, the greens, the pinks, the oranges?
Yeah, I'm bored now.
Right.
So we do have someone online, and it's Lesley. Hi, and she's waving. That's nice to see, so I can see us. As Lesley's on first, should we go with Lesley's question first?
Lesley's question is the cake question. Lesley, let me just read your question out for everyone who's listening in. So Lesley's asked for ideas on how to keep a cake covered, but also displayed during a summer outside wedding and not having to worry about bugs and flies, especially as we are thinking of having a naked cake. Thanks. No, thank you.
Shall I take that one?
Yeah, you do that.
So naked cakes are amazing. They are absolutely stunning, and I've seen quite a few in the last couple of years that are popping up, and they are really lovely with all the tiers and the fresh creams and the berries and stuff. But you are absolutely right. If you happen to be on a really lovely summer's day, what part of the year are you getting married, Lesley? Do you happen to know? Are you going to be on? Doesn't matter. Anyway, the thing with that is that if you're in a marquee or in a zone warm, they are going to get sweaty and they are going to potentially spoil if they're out for too long. So I would recommend that either you have the cake table ready and then bring it out as people are coming to sit into the marquee for their meal, or I would potentially look at, sometimes you can get like the tulle material. I've seen someone very clever one year, they made like a ring and they put tulle down to almost like a mosquito net style, but it kept it all nice and cool and covered away from bugs. The only other thing I would say about wedding cakes, if you're not going to necessarily go through a naked cake, would look at more of a fondant icing, because buttercream and stuff will definitely attract your bugs, and if you do get bugs on them, they'll stick. So if you're going to go with a non-naked cake, look at fondant icing, and if you're going to go with a naked cake, look at what time of day you bring it out. Unfortunately, if it is a hot day, you may want to delay it slightly.
I am delving into the deep dark depths of my brain and the rubbish I have watched on TV over the years. I think
Mary Berry on.
No. I think there's an option of, if the cake stand is super... Now, I know hot air rises and cold air drops, right? But if the cake stand is a block of ice, for argument's sake, then that cold will help keep the cake on top of it.
That's why I've answered this question and you haven't.
Well, okay, perhaps I went with the over-the-top answer, but it would still help.
I would look at making a feature out of it, look at maybe getting some sort of tulle or royally kind of material to make like a drape around it, and that can look really pretty, and you can always dress the top with flowers and obviously make it a feature. Or
go in, and I promise you these are semi-sensible. What about one of these glass fronted fridges?
That's been done.
It's not the worst idea.
You could have it in a fridge for the period of time to be viewed, but yes.
It's not an amazing idea, but it's not a terrible idea. So, yes. September, Lesley.
Good month to get married. Well done.
We were September the 15th, as we bang on about all
every
the time.
Single
every single time.
Cool.
Lesley, we hope that helps. If there's any more specific detail, we're more than happy to help. Yeah. Just drop us a message or an email, and we.
Or don't use fresh cream. Use buttercream instead. It may not spoil for as long if it's in the heat.
And actually, this is not the cake experts in the world will probably know slightly more than we can, and perhaps we can look at getting a cake expert on one day.
We would do that, yes.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Lesley.
Cheers.
Cheers. So, next question. Let's start from the top.
Yep.
So, Sylvie's asked a question about insurance.
Yeah. That's been banned in the email this week.
Yeah, we've seen quite a lot of chat about insurance on in the Outside Bride in the past week or so.
Yep.
The question, always said we would ask the question. So, Sylvie asks, could you give me some advice on wedding insurance, cancellation, public liability, etc.?
Yeah.
All that you recommend we purchase. We do need to put an upfront in here.
Yeah.
We are not insurance experts.
Yes.
We understand the principles of insurance for weddings. We are not recommending you buy anything. I have a background in financial services, so I kind of understand what I'm meant to say.
What we would say is that it is worth its weight in gold, and for the sake of what I think the most basic packing you get is about 17 quid, definitely look into getting wedding insurance. Not only does it protect you in terms of any of your suppliers or your venue or anything fails you on the day, or severe weather causes you to have flooding in your field or whatever like that, it also protects them from you. If you're going to somewhere like a grade 2 listed house, for example, and you're in their gardens, if you damage anything that has, and that's they could bill you for, your insurance will also cover you from any damages that you've created. So it's a two-way street, and I would definitely, regardless of, even if you're going in for the most basic of outdoor weddings where you don't think you can break anything, it will definitely be worth it.
As if I vaguely remember, as a percentage of the average wedding budget, it is minuscule, isn't it?
I said your most entry level can be about 17 to 20 quid, but you can go up into the hundreds depending on what you're doing and what your level of cover is.
And we do have horror stories of a very good friend where the bridal dress shop went out of business. Was it like a week or two before the wedding? We've had that. We've had people who know their marquee companies gone bust like a month before the wedding and left them in the lurch, and it's just all there to help with everything else.
Sylvie asked on that question about public liability. Now, we would suggest, due to the different amount of suppliers having their own different levels of cover, that 5 million PLI is probably a really good starting place for what you would need on your cover. Again, it's up to you and depends on how safe and comfortable you feel with your suppliers and what you're doing for your day. One thing I would say on some of the policies, and I know Debenhams has them as well, is that they don't always cover certain types of ceremonies and certain types of event. For example, if you're having a marquee, you may need specific marquee cover on top of that, and look into what that actually means, because things like you've got your marquee up and absolutely that protects you, but if you're not providing security, or you're walking away from that field overnight and there's no one to be looking after your marquee on the site, and it's not secure, you may end up forfeiting your insurance policy because you haven't listened to the update. Either look at specific marquee insurance to go as a bolt-on, or look at the small print to see what that marquee cover actually covers for your day.
Yeah, as an ex-marquee company, the responsibility of the marquee was the hirers from the second we handed over to the second we agreed we would be on site to collect. So, it was their responsibility to ensure it was safe, and if that involves overnight security, I mean, it could be as simple as a friend sleeping in it. It doesn't need to be security, so to speak. On marquees, there is a marquee insurance company that the trade uses called Covermark, MARQUE, Covermark. Can't recommend them because that's a bit funny, but we know they exist.
And they do specific
wedding and event insurance and everything else.
If you're not sure, it's always worth getting your quotes together and just finding out what they can do and what they can offer and exactly what that package can offer. Like we said, lots of people have mentioned Debenhams this week.
I think we had Debenhams
I'm sure we did. It doesn't really matter, because like the real likelihood of anything being needed, and in terms of public liability, is so minuscule, because every one of your suppliers as well, you would hope, would have a level of PLI that you should be asking for anyway, just for your due diligence to make sure that you've got decent suppliers and not cowboys.
Definitely.
Does that hopefully answer anyone's questions? Anyone mentioned?
Okay. No. So we've had some smiley faces. Lesley said thank you very much for the cake question.
Hi Gary.
And Gary's on board. Sylvie, we hope that answers, but we know there's been a lot of chat this week, so I imagine your question's been answered already.
And you're probably going to discuss it in the group as well.
But as always, guys, we are more than happy to help with answers, questions. So next up, we got a really fascinating question next, because actually I've been to one of these this year. So Sylvie is interested in hearing suggestions for their outdoor ceremony, non-religious, with the slight issue that they're looking to have a bilingual ceremony. Any recommendations would be welcome.
Challenge, not an issue.
Yeah, I think this is absolutely exciting because actually, if you're following a religious ceremony, you're restricted by the confines of that. So if you're having even a legal ceremony outside, it's got to be under a structure that's been not ordained. No, stupid, wrong word. But you know what I mean. It's got to be ticked off as you can use that structure. So the fact that we happen to know this, don't we? Is it a registry office previous to it?
You can either do, I mean, actually I've just been writing one of the blogs for And the Outside Bride today. You can either do, I think Sylvie's having her ceremony in the morning at the registry office.
Right.
But I've just done this blog where they had the ceremony and they had all their family and friends, and then during the drinks reception, they went off back into the house where they were in, from the gardens they were in, and they had their parents in the room and then conducted the service directly after their ceremony. So you can do it in many, many ways. But I think what Sylvie's actually asking is about how to conduct an outdoor ceremony and what to include, which is really exciting because you can do whatever you like.
We had we were at one where the guy did the wedding from friends. Is this true?
Yeah. So they had.
I was there. But
they had a friend who conducted the service rather than having anyone, celebrant or anything like that come in, and they had. They actually, you know, the episode of Friends where Monica and Chandler get married, or one of them, literally with receiving and giving, receiving. That line from Joey from Friends, he did it, which was quite.
It might be worth, and apologies, we should have done this, it's in my head. If a quick Google of what's the word? What we discussing? Non-religious services, wedding services. I'm sure there'd be some scripts up there.
You can go from anything. You can go for predetermined scripts. You can go just to readings. You can have song in there. In terms of what you were discussing about the bilingual, Alan went to a wedding last year where it was a Russian wedding,
August, this year, and 2017.
And then what we think, and again, feel free to do whatever you want, is you can either do it in two ways. You can either do an English version, then a French version, and then have half of your guests not really engaged for that half, or you can do it reading.
At the Russian one I went to, it was piggybacked on each other. So English went, then Russian, then like for line by line, section by section. I feel that worked perfectly, and like I say, I feel that if it was all English then all Russian, for the X amount of minutes we're sitting there watching the one we don't understand, I feel slightly, what do I do? Whereas actually doing one bit, then bit, then bit, then bit, just kind of keeps it flowing. And actually it was quite fun, and and as part of that, I know you can just get, the registrars can come and do blessings in the open as well. We were at one of friends who did get married at a civil service, and the next day we had a table underneath a tree, hay bales, wooden chairs, lovely things like that.
Alexa's talking.
I've just set Alexa off, sorry if you can hear that.
But in terms of having a dual bilingual service, I would recommend try not to keep it as short as possible, because obviously you want that's the reason you're there for the day, is that service, but try not to keep any more than half an hour, because
everyone understands the language of love and music. So after the actual kind of words, the important part's what everyone enjoys.
But I would recommend no more than half an hour. Otherwise, if you have got two languages going on, you might just start to lose people a little bit. And then obviously if you do get any changes in weather, you don't want to have to be everyone sat there for an hour in the rain once you've started.
But I think that's really exciting. And then our last question, which we think is also, actually all the questions are good today.
Well, last question is, anyone ask us a question now?
Unless anyone asks us a question, this is our last or penultimate. So Hanna asks, we are wondering about table decorations that are simple and easy to put together. My mum is doing them, so we want stress-free and also outside decorations, ideas for decorating outside around a garden.
Perfect.
Thank you, Hanna.
Can I start?
Yes.
Because I'm the girly one who likes to do all the decorating.
Yeah, but I'm the boy one who's in touch with that side of him. So, go for your life.
So before you even start thinking about what your centre is going to be and your decorations are going to be, and you might have a theme already, I would say the top tip you can do is to think about your table and what's already going to be on your table before you even start to curate this beautiful table centre. So, for example, if you are having a certain style of sit-down meal, if you're going for what I like to call family style, when you've got dishes in the middle and everyone's self-serving, think about the fact you're going to have lots of dishes on the table. You might have all your cutlery and crockery, you might have a water glass, you might have a wine glass, you might have favours, you might have all of that already on your table. So if that's going to be the case and there's a lot already going on, try and keep your table centres as simple as possible, because the bigger they are, the less space you're going to have to move things around. I would also say that if you want to see everyone, keep something quite low, or go the complete opposite and go really, really, really tall, so like tall and thin, and with something at the top. That way you don't obviously miss Mrs. Miggins on the other side of the table. You don't have to go flowers, and I think flowers are beautiful, and you can get some really nice hand-tied bouquets. And if your mum's doing it already, you might have some ideas about what flowers you want. Things like gypsophilia that Sylvie actually put a photo on as well. They're brilliant because they are cheap as chips, and you can fill a space really easily with a big ball of gyp. But flowers aren't the only thing you can decorate with. I mean, you can do anything. I managed a wedding a couple of years ago where they were well into their cocktails. And every single table was a themed cocktail, and they did like a deconstructed version of a cocktail, I suppose. So they had in the centre, they had a bottle of whatever alcohol was the main spirit of that. It might have been a bottle of rum, it might have been coffee liqueur, whatever, or limoncello, and then they would have the ingredients that went with that. So there would be a vase filled with lemons, or what?
No,
it was really cool because it was something different, and every table was its own unique style and was bright and had loads of stuff going on. You can have lanterns in the middle, you could have loads and loads of candles. What I would say, balloons are making a comeback again this year. Everyone's talking about really bright, bold balloons, but if you're going to do that, I would look at getting someone to do them for you, because if you do them the night before, they will deflate the next day. They don't last for very long. And if you're doing
not in changing kind of atmosphere conditions,
and if you're doing, especially the big like bally ones you can get, they're amazing. They take a lot of helium. They're expensive, and unless you get the best quality latex, they will be gone and down within the day. So balloons are a good option, but make sure you do them properly. But really, yes, you can do candles, you can do flowers, you could do jam jars. Jam jars are still, although
well, I like jam jars, especially in the interest of like
they're popular, but they're easy, and that's the thing. At the end of it, you can not have to take them all back again. You can give them as favours. You can give them to everyone. Can take a few things off.
Yeah. Anyway, I agree with everything Emily said.
You just shut me down. I'm getting excited.
Yeah, I want to get excited as well. I'm a big believer in the less is more, actually, and some of the ones I remember, because they were, I like them, was actually the long vase with the kind of single flower in it in the middle with just a couple of fairy lights around it.
Tea lights.
Tea lights. I think there is a tendency sometimes to kind of potentially overcomplicate when it really is a less is more, simple, keep it simple, stupid approach. So yes.
The other half of that question was talking about the outside space, and that's really simple to me.
Well, actually, someone's just commented on this. So Laura has just joined, so you might have already covered this. We're doing it now, Laura. We are using dried hops for decoration.
Oh, lovely. And
that's lovely. And that's surely part of the appeal of the outside is that connection with the outside, connection with earthiness.
Ivy's a really good one as well. We come back onto the tables with ivy and anything that can be dramatic with the least amount of fuss, basically. So you can do really good greenery, and I love the idea of the hops. It's amazing with that, and barley and stuff.
I can see like cloves of lavender almost as well, like dried lavender, things like that.
You can tie that into the rest of your decorations. You can get the big milk churns and put lavender by the door and stuff. But the outside space...
Hold on, can I do my outside one first?
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm just as excited as you.
Okay, now we're bickering.
No, we're not bickering. And we're both excited. So my favourite outside wedding and decoration was actually just beautiful flowers all over the place. So it was in a garden. I'm not quite sure where you mentioned yours was. It is a garden. And the owners of the garden had just spent the time to ensure their garden, flowers, shrubs, bushes, trees, looked as amazing. I think they'd even timed it with the tulips coming out or something like that.
They'd grown their flowers in the garden,
and it looked fantastic. There was a few fairy lights and festoons scattered around, but other than that, it was just beautiful, blooming, blossoming flowers, trees, bushes, shrubs, etc.
Think about your outside, but you don't need to have that much outdoor decoration in reality, because with the amount of guests you have and the hustle and bustle and drinks and stuff, you'll fill that space. And if you've got coloured flowers and stuff in the area, it doesn't really matter. I would say fairy lights and festoons are always a go, because by the evening time that switches on and it completely transforms the space.
And they look nice festoon look nice when
bulbs
they're not
on their own.
Yeah, the
still look
bulb,
like
especially if you get
decoration.
the ones where you can see the filaments inside.
But things that if you're looking for splashes of colour quite cheaply and quite efficiently, you can do lots of ribbon backdrops. So you can tie them from branches and you can just do loads of lengths of ribbon just to get that splash of colour. Paper lanterns are fantastic, but be aware that if you are going to have to swap round quickly with an outdoor wedding, outside with wet and rain, paper lanterns aren't always your best option and will end up getting paper mache'd.
Obviously, there's bunting. Thumbs up for bunting. If anyone wants to share a thumbs up for bunting. Are you not a bunting fan?
Mum,
bunting out.
I love bunting. Thank you very much.
You
for
can't
making
rule
my-
bunting out.
No.
I think everyone loves bunting.
Mum, my mum.
Your mum
my
loves
mother-in-law,
bunting.
She does, and she makes all of the Baylily Bell Tents bespoke bunting for us, and she's made thousands of metres, so I do love it.
I'm guessing by the lack of thumbs up that no one else is sharing my bunting love right now.
Bunting has its place.
The bunting has
But there are
its
other
place,
things to
no,
think
so-
about rather than bunting.
Yeah.
But things like, I went to a really cool wedding at a barn and they had lampshades, just the lampshades hanging from trees, and anything that can take blocks of colour in large spaces and fill it really easy. That's kind of my top tip, is don't look at really small details, because small details will get lost in translation.
Hashtag just saying, got a thumbs up for bunting right there. Thank you, Ange. Actually,
Angela.
yeah, Ange.
So yeah, don't worry about the small details, and I think that's really important across your tables and your outside space. No one is going to remember what confetti size you've got, or what shape you've got, or what kind of petal confetti you're throwing. It doesn't really matter. Think about, if you've got a large space to fill, what big things can fill a space quite easily.
It could be, yeah, sorry, going back to your cocktail, it could be an interactive. I've started thinking about it, that's why I went quiet. Like, your table centre could be your starter, don't know, whatever. It could be a pork pie, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of outdoorsy, that people cut up and that's their starter. It could be dessert, it could be the drinks, it could be a wine, bottles kind of, or the glasses for Prosecco in the middle. And actually then that's even easier because
It becomes practical.
It's practical and you've already got it. But,
Yeah, obviously things like hay bale furniture, they're always a win, and they can be done quite cost effectively, but make sure that if you're going to do hay bales, I would always recommend putting covers on them, or mats or blankets, because no one likes itchy legs.
And if it's in a private garden, it will leave debris.
Yeah.
It will leave debris and someone will need to
And it's
tidy
always
it
worth
up.
checking with that venue, if it's a venue you're going to, whether they allow them, because you might book them without telling them and get them there and they're like, no, you can't have them. So it's always worth checking.
Cool. I think that covers those questions.
Anyone else got any other questions?
So there's no other obvious questions here. Charlotte says, I absolutely love this group. I'm usually the odd one out in these groups, having a forest wedding.
Nice. Whereabouts are you getting married, Charlotte?
Yeah, where are you getting married? I love the idea of a forest wedding.
Yeah.
And one of our regular local outdoor venues has a wooded area with their campfire circle, and it's very nice. Ange says, what is the purpose of a daddy long legs? Do I take it one of us said daddy long legs by accident? And I don't know. Unless there's something in the picture. And you have to tell us what that is, because we don't know if we did mess up there. Charlotte's getting married Applewood in
Oh
Leeds.
yeah, Charlotte, you put your photo up this week. It looks amazing.
Was that? Yeah,
the
I
one
know.
with the one with
Yeah,
the
I
teep in
did
the
see
picture.
that
That
one.
looks
Fantastic.
absolutely sensational. I'm well jealous.
Cool.
We like woodland weddings.
All over. Well, we like outside weddings.
Yeah.
That's why we've started this. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping everyone's enjoying what we're doing so far, and I hope you come and get what we are launching. The blog goes live on Friday, so I've been busy typing up all of our real wedding blogs for that. So that's going live on Friday. Like I said before, if you're interested in receiving proper hints and tips and stuff, and special offers from some of our suppliers, do feel free to go and subscribe onto that mailing list, and we can make sure that we're not going to spam you. Once bi-monthly, I think we're looking at doing it, wasn't it, for the hints and tips sheets?
Yeah, something like that.
But also, we hope that we are giving you some value, and that we are not too.
What? No, we're not. I think we're fine.
We like to be real, and we don't like to be too polished.
What we would like, if there's anyone who fancies coming on the telephone or even joining in the live, because we can do that, we'd absolutely love someone to come on live with us and ask us some questions, and we can help you out and everything else.
Yeah.
Perhaps not next week, the week after, unless someone's like, yeah, me, and we can just discuss a few things and give you our expert opinion.
And like we said last week, what we're going to start to try and do is to theme some of these Q&A sessions. So, for example, tomorrow, actually, on the Baylily site, we're doing a bit of filming for our Baylily Meet sessions, where we're going to be talking to, is it Jack?
And Josh from
NJAC is a bar company, and we're going to be talking about how to go about doing a DIY bar versus a paid bar, and what things to consider, and if you are going to do it yourself, what to think about. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow, and we might do a Q&A session with him in the coming weeks. If there's something specific that you think there's quite a lot of legs to in terms of what we can ask, let us know, and we'll make sure we get an expert in who can talk about that particular part of their industry.
Cool. Right,
Thank you
on
so
that note,
much.
thank you all so much for watching and asking your questions. Because without you guys, we'd just be sitting here arguing, and we do that for the rest of the day, so we don't need to do it for the 20
And well done to
minutes on
Joseph for not waking up.
I know, I thought he was stirring, but I can't see the bouncy chair moving. He's only
3 months.
3 months? Yeah, he is 3
3
months old, bless him. Cool. Right, thanks, Ange, much appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you soon. And thank you, everyone else.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much.
See you later. Bye. Bye.